right. Come on in, everybody. We've got one last session to go. We're going to get started. If you hear my voice, go ahead and come on in here. Josh and Jordan, y'all ready for some questions? Awesome. Love it. All right, honest opinion. Have we had fun today? Yeah? And I started thinking, what would I do if someone said, I absolutely hated today? What would I do? I don't know. So put that in the eval. No, we're so glad that you've been here. I know it's been a long day. We've got one final session that I'm really, really excited about. And so I know folks are still making their way here. I did just wanted to, again, give a couple of shout-outs. In addition to the Fostering Hope staff who've been working valiantly for weeks and weeks and months leading up to this time, we have an army of behind-the-scenes volunteers that have made this happen. And so they're everywhere. They're not all in this room, but can we thank our volunteers for making this happen? This has been truly a great day, and I hope that you've received some value in your time together. Did anybody meet someone new while you were here? Did you make a really good connection? That's awesome. All right. I'm glad you did. A couple other shout-outs. I wanted to thank, I don't know is Ashley Brown, are you in here? There's Ashley. Ashley Brown. So Nearby Coffee is the official coffee of Fostering Hope, just so you know. And Nearby Coffee provided the coffee for our conference today, and I wanted to say thank you to Nearby. Ashley, thank you for representing Nearby for that. Really good. And lunch, and again, we realized it took a little bit longer than we wanted to get everybody through the line, but appreciated everybody's patience. But Cabo Bob's were the ones that provided the lunch today, and so very, very grateful for that. A couple of final reminders. We do want you to give us feedback. So there's a couple of QR codes in the program. So make sure you fill that out. There's one for feedback specifically for the entire day. And then there's a QR code for your CEUs. And so if you are needing to get some of your continuing education credit hours, fill out that code, and we will work that out for you. Do we have our next step slide? There's a next step slide. Again, the last thing we want is for us to say, hey, we've had a great day, and then leave here. We really want you to think about what your next step is. And so Foster and Hope, my team, we have some things that we have scheduled and planned. We've got some training planned. We've got some events that are coming up. We do another conference called Rest. We do that. Anybody need rest in this place? A few of you? All right. We do a conference called Rest. How many of you were at our last one in October? There's a few in the room. All right. And so we do that. We've got some events there. So we have opportunities for you to engage in some of the things that we do. And if we can help you in your journey through the 5 needs of foster care, we want to help you do that. All right. Does anybody we're going to have a time of some Q&A here in just a minute. But I do want to see, does anybody want to share what you know right now is your next step as it relates to your journey in the 5 needs of foster care? Anybody want to share what your next step is? I'm just going to wait. I'm just kidding. No, that's not very trauma-informed, right? Putting people on the spot. Anybody? Okay, yes. Could we, Josh or somebody, can we get a mic back there? So I just want to hear, just what's your next step? What's the next step you feel like in your journey is?
Testing. Sharing the trauma-based informed training with our church ministry.
Okay. Awesome. We can help you do that. Great. Anybody else? We have one over here. Lonnie back there. Hey, Lonnie.
Hey, Lynn. I'm sure we'll be talking and you might be involved.
All right. Let's do it.
Next steps are to build a community of churches that are interested in coming together to just take foster parent night outs to the next level, get more churches to step up and put those in place, and just be able to get consolidated insight out to the parents so they have better coverage.
Awesome. Awesome. Love it. Love it. Awesome. Well, if there's anything we can do to help you on your next step, we would love to engage with you on your journey. I have been giddy about this final session for weeks. I've been looking forward to it, and I'm proud to have some of my friends up here who represent one of the 5 needs of foster care. We're going to have, as we end up, just going to have a little conversation. I do want to have some time to give you an opportunity to ask questions. Maybe some of the things you heard today in a breakout or in another session. If any one of these friends of mine, subject matter experts, can help answer that question, I want to make sure you get an opportunity to hear that. And so this is our final session, and I have some friends that are here with me on stage. And Beverly Morris, you heard from her this morning, and I told you get a chance to hear her passion again. And she is representing family preservation. And so this is Beverly, and she's going to start us off here just a minute. Then we have Holly Burk from Foster Village. So Holly is back with us and is representing foster care. Megan Zellner is with us, and she is representing the need of adoption. Mandy Sheehan is the founder of, and I've been practicing all day, Teaghlach, and she's representing supporting roles. We have Marie Ezell, and she is representing aged out youth. Would you please welcome my friends to the stage? So what I've asked them to do and share with you is just a little bit about the organization that they represent. And I wanted them to share some kind of success story or ways that they have been able to meet that particular need. So they're all going to have an opportunity to do that. I'm ready to ask them some follow-up questions, but I thought, you know what? I want to give you a chance to ask some questions. So Jordan and Josh are going to be ready to field your question, and our panel up here will answer that. All right? Ms. Beverly, will you start us off?
Yes. Well, I want to say thank you for having me be a part of this panel with these wonderful women. And just thank you for just being at the conference. But one thing I want to share is I had a grandparent. Well, what I do is it's Tx Grandparents Raising Grandchildren for Austin. And there are no resources here in Austin for grandparents. So I had a grandparent who showed up at my meeting, and she was getting evicted. And she was taking care of her 2 grandchildren, and they were going to have to go back into the foster care system. So I immediately started trying to call around, trying to get help for her to get her rent. And this was like on a Thursday. She had to have the money in there Friday before close of business. And so I actually went to my church, Austin Christian Fellowship, and they helped me get this money for this woman. And we saved her apartment, and we saved her grandchildren for having to go back into the foster care system. And it was a sad process, but willingly her landlord was willing to work with me because I almost didn't make the deadline. The doors were locked. She opened up the doors for me, and she accepted the money. Well, I had the wrong type of check that she needed, so I had to do a lot of running around. But they partnered with me, and they worked with me so this woman would not be evicted. So basically, the people who come to my meeting, they need financial help. And sometimes, they've lost their job or they can't pay their electric bill. And it's not like an ongoing thing. And I only had to help this woman one time because then the next month she found a job and was able to, get herself back on track. But it's just heartbreaking for me because I'm blessed. When I first got my 6 grandchildren, my friend, she's here, I won't even call her name, but she started something called Team Beverly. So there's a whole team. If I need something, I reach out to her, she sends an email to the team, and I get what I need, and my grandkids also get what they need. So when I have people coming to my meeting, it breaks my heart because they have needs that I can't meet, and so my heart breaks. So when I was able to meet the need for this one particular grandparent, it encouraged me that I got to speak out more about how when you're involved, like if you're in a foster care system, there's help. And if you're part of CPS and your kinship, there's help. But when you're informal, because I've been on both of those realms, so now I'm considered informal, there's no help for grandparents that are informal that are raising their grandchildren to keep them out of the foster care system. So I was blessed to be able to help this grandmother. And, also I'm blessed when little holidays come around, I'm able to get gift cards for the grandparents. And I remember someone came up to me and said, hey, it's Mother's Day. I want to get you flowers for the grandparents. And I had to take a deep breath, and I said, please don't get offended, but what the grandparents really need is they need some gift cards for groceries, And she looked at me, and she was like, thank you, because what I didn't know is that she wasn't aware of how grandparents are just struggling just to put food on the table. If we just all think about how the cost of food goes up like daily almost, And so I felt bad, but then later on she came and told me, she said, thank you, because that's not something I would have ever thought about. I just thought that flowers would be something that they needed. So I'm working hard, talking to different sources to try to help me to provide for grandparents who are struggling right now. So it's just a blessing that, God chose me for what I'm doing. And I always tell people, and I even tell myself that I didn't choose my grandchildren, I didn't choose my children, and God chose them, all of us. He chose them all for us. And so when I started feeling like, oh, well, my daughter is this, or my grandkids are doing this, I'm saying to God, oh, I don't like who you chose for me. So now I've changed it around a little bit, and I say, Lord, thank you for who you chose for me and for taking me what I'm going through so I could help someone else.
I said, how am I going to follow Beverly? And so my name is Holly Burk, and I'm the Director of Partnerships with Foster Village Austin. And for those of you that don't know what we do, I just so appreciated the theme of this conference this year, and it was In This Together, because I think for anyone that has intersected within the child welfare space, it takes all of us. Professionals, community members, church members, and so this just really resonates. So I told Lynn it's been such a blessed day. But that's the heartbeat behind Foster Village. We talk a lot about community beyond the system because it takes all of us. And so we have 2 family resource centers, one in North Austin and one in Dripping Springs. And so we try to holistically wrap around families because we believe that wrapping around the caregivers and supporting caregivers leads to better support for the kids that are in their home. And so we bring the community in. I know when I started at Foster Village, we did a nationwide survey. It was just a general question, and it asked, do you care about kids and families intersecting with the child welfare system? This is the general public. These are not people that really know much about foster care. And 85% of people said, yes, we do. We care. We're passionate about that. I don't know what's wrong with the other 15%, but 85% said they cared. So then the very next question was, are you actively doing something to support children and families intersecting with the child welfare system? And the number was 11%. 11% were doing something. And I don't believe it's because people don't care. I think it's because they don't know how to jump in or how to get involved. So you need the deep dive support, but you also need to allow the community to step in and get involved. So that's what our resource centers do. Families can come and connect for level 1 support, critical necessities, tangible items when they're taking in new placements or when kids are in transition. And then those deep dive supports like Project Soothe, Partners in Permanency, all of those things as well. Because I also know as caregivers, y'all are busy. Sometimes you can jump in and access support, and sometimes you can't. You'll say, I'll see you next month. So we try to provide all of that. And the reason we're passionate about that is because we are a team of current and former foster and adoptive parents, ourselves, fictive kin placements, child welfare professionals, CASAs. We've all worn different hats. And so we've seen that when we talk about success stories, the difference maker is always when a family had support. And when you're talking about foster care, I was thinking, what story do I want to tell today? Because even the word success story is a hard one sometimes in foster care. It's navigating a tricky road, and the story is still being written. And the way you show up for the kids in your home or the caregivers that you're supporting matters, even when the outcome is still really challenging. So if you're in a challenging situation, I just wanted to speak that encouragement over you. It's still being written. years and years, what you're laying now matters. And I think that's been the theme of today, and it's been so important. But I am going to tell you a success story, and I'll do it briefly. What I saw as success. We had someone who was wanting to be in a supporting role, wanted to help volunteer. She wanted to foster her and her family, but she was like, I have seen foster care. And so we just want to toe in the water, get involved, and support. And we said, that's great. So it started with donation drives and childcare, and just that toe in the water led to, okay, I've met caregivers. I've seen the kids that are in their home. Like, it is challenging, but I've also seen the work that they're doing matters. And so they got licensed. And there has been many roller coasters all along the way, but each step of the way, when they needed to come to Empowered Camp or when they needed a deep dive program, we got to say, it's okay, you can do this, we're not going anywhere. And so we've been saying that for years with them on that journey, and they were part of our Partners in Permanency program, where they themselves as a foster family were supporting a family through reunification. And so one of those visits was occurring in the play studio, and it was one of the sweetest moments. It was just a blessing to overhear it in this disarmed just play studio where kids were playing and the caregivers were on the ground. The reunifying mom looked at the foster mom and she said, I don't know if I can do this. It was just one of those moments of pure vulnerability. And the foster mom got to say to her, yes, you can do this. I'm not going anywhere. And that's what community means to me. And I heard from so many organizations that have the same heartbeat. So I appreciate y'all's leadership and in this together, because it's true. It takes all of us. The needs are so great. So anyways.
And now I have to follow you. My name is Megan Zellner. I am the Foster and Adoption Clinical Director at the Settlement Home for Children, and I have worked in child welfare for coming up on 21 years, all within the same organization. So I've worn many hats at the Settlement Home. I was a therapist on one of our, we call them cottages. I was a house parent, so a live-in staff for a year. I was the director of our foster and adoption program for 10 years, and then over COVID, and I told this story in my breakout, so if you were there, you'll hear it again, that, we had so many post-adopt families who were coming back and struggling, and the research shows that post-adopt families struggle the most at 3, 5, and 7 years post consummation, and that rang true during COVID. And the hardest of things were coming up for these families, and the state of Texas, turns out, is not set up to support families post-adoption. I think that we really want to try and do this work, but there are not the tools in place currently. So we had a gift of the opportunity to apply for a grant that allowed us to build out a post-adopt program. And so we work concurrently with Centers for Children and Families, who here in Region 7 has the contract for post-adopt. And we are seeing our families through adoption, and we are staying in touch with them. I'm doing therapy services with post-adopt families, and all of the therapy that I'm doing is geared towards helping families better serve their kids. It's not your standard drop the kid off in the therapy office for an hour and pick them up and they're fixed. That's not the system that I work in, and so I think that the Settlement Home is working really hard to best support families through all phases, and so that families know that if you're going to foster and adopt, we don't go away. We will always be there, and it might be me, 20 years in, and however many more I have left to go. And Holly, as you were talking about just this shared heartbeat, we work so well together with our community partners, and it's so great to have days like today where you can connect with other folks in the community who have the same mission. And so my success story is actually not even about adoption, but it resonates with me right now. In my time in working in foster care and adoption, I've seen a lot of kids for therapy, and I really like the idea of planting seeds, and you don't always see the work that you do. And for anyone here who's worked in residential treatment, Jordan, I see you, you know that you don't see in the moment the hard work. In the moment, you get kids screaming at you and telling you how hideous you are and how horrible you are. And it's not until often way down the road that you see the seeds that you planted and how those manifested. So I, as a young therapist, I had kids who were teenagers in our group home program, and now as a therapist doing post-adopt work, I have a small caseload of children who have aged out of foster care and who are now in their 20s and 30s and parenting. And so the therapy that I do, the evidence-based treatment and helping families heal kids, is now being used with a couple of those kids. And it's so validating to have children come back, and one of my kids is now 34 and parenting her 11-year-old and saying, like, I was really not an easy kid, but you were there for me. And it's that, the starfish parable, it's just one kid and just one adult, and that connection is really important. So thank you.
Hi, my name is Mandy Sheehan, and I am the president and founder of Teaghlach Ranch. And it is pronounced Teaghlach, like chai tea, and luck, not Teaghlach like it's spelled. And it is an Irish Gaelic word for family. So Teaghlach Ranch, we are dedicated to offering a place of renewal and connection for foster, adoptive, and kinship families. And I'd like to take a quick second to ask you a question. And if you could be really honest and raise your hand, how many of you find it difficult to take a minute for yourself, find time to spend with your significant other or friends, find time for a date night, or especially a weekend away? Right, us too. So we started fostering in 2010, my husband Ryan and I and our 3 older kids. At that time, they were 10, 9, and 7. And we fostered for 5 years and then adopted our 2 youngest boys in that time. And so we also know and still know how difficult it is to find that time to, fill yourself up, to have time with your spouse or your significant other, or especially to get a weekend away. And so we started asking other foster, adoptive, and kinship families, like, how often are you doing this? And a lot of them are like, we don't go on dates. And then some of them are like, it's been 10 years since they've been on a vacation. And so that's kind of how Teaghlach Ranch was born. We have a couple different programs right now. The main program is our weekend in Fredericksburg, and what we do is we bring the parents of foster, adoptive, and kinship families out for a weekend in Fredericksburg, and they stay in a tiny house, and we give them $1,000 that they can spend on however they want. A lot of them will go out to dinner, or they'll try the wineries, or they'll go horseback riding, or get a massage, or a lot of them like the private time in the hot tub. And then the other things that we like to do with that is actually paid for, no cost to the parents, and it's paid for the donations that are given to Teaghlach Ranch. The other program is our Community Connection Program, and we feel like this has always been so important to our family and to the other families that we are talking to. So we offer events throughout the year where you can bring your kids and you can meet other families that are kind of living the same lives as you, and you can kind of connect with them, share stories. It's always so important to be able to relate to someone that really understands what your good and bad days look like. And then the last thing is with the caseworkers. So we know how tirelessly they're working for these kids and these families, and so we just want them to feel seen and to be able to feel encouraged in what they're doing also. So, like I said, Teaghlach Ranch is dedicated to offering a place of relaxation, rest, and recharging. And so we really want that for these parents and for these families. I'd like to leave you with 2 things, a quote and a challenge. The quote is from Mr. Fred Rogers, and it says, "We live in a world where we need to share responsibility. It's easy to say, it's not my child, it's not my community, it's not my world, it's not my problem. Then there are those who see the need and respond, and those people are my heroes. And my challenge is you need to be able to find that time to rest, recharge, reconnect. You cannot pour from an empty cup, and you need to find your people and actively seek out your resources. And I'm actually going to let Lynn, he was able to come out and spend a weekend with Teaghlach Ranch, and they're in the Weekend in Fredericksburg program, and they've been to some of our family events. So I'm gonna let him share a little bit about his experience.
I think for me, it was when we got invited to this dinner, we didn't know much about it. And when Mandy was presented, I'd never heard about the organization. And I think it was before my time here at Fostering Hope. And so when she was talking about this program and what they did, I was like, man, that's really cool. I would love to do something like that. And then at the end of her presentation, talking about her organization, she said, and by the way, all of you foster parents in this room, you get to go on a weekend away on your own. And so we were like, I'm like waiting for, okay, what's the catch? We get to go away. We get $1,000. There's got to be a catch here. And I tell you what, that was a very powerful moment for Amanda and I to really we really felt seen and valued. And we felt, honestly, I think our first reaction was like, we just don't deserve this. And we were so glad to go on that trip. Kind of funny, when we got to where we were going, we actually walked into the wrong tiny house. And thankfully, the people that were already in there, they're very gracious, and we saw them for dinner or breakfast the next day, so we're glad we didn't get run out of there. But we had a really good time, and there's ways that you could support that. I know others that are connected to Fostering Hope have been a part of that. And then I learned this too. I am not going to turn away very many invitations to attend a foster dinner or a foster parent night out because you never know what's in store. So that's what I learned from that. But Mandy, thank you and for what you do and how it's really blessed our family.
Of course.
First, they put me last after they went through all of these wonderful things. So, I mean, no pressure, right, guys? My name is Marie Ezell. I founded Angel and Me Incorporated. We are a very beginning organization, very small. I want to first appreciate Fostering Hope because they put me in a space so that I can be around other people who started very small but humbly, because we all have the heart. If you didn't have the heart, you wouldn't be in this place. So all of us are significant. And so I appreciate Fostering Hope for putting me in a place so that I can be around other success stories, because we need that encouragement to keep going. I started Angel and Me because of my own life experience with aging out of the system, and I didn't understand the need, because I was the one that was in need. And if you came to my workshop, you may have heard this story, but when I aged out the system, I was 18 years old, and my caseworker, as soon as I said, I want to be done, the same day, she brought the paperwork to me and let me sign out. I didn't know that there was an opportunity for me to get assistance with school. I didn't know that there was an opportunity. I had a child by then. I was pregnant with my second child. I didn't know that there was an opportunity to get any kind of assistance. And that narrative needs to change, and that all starts with us. So with that, I had a very nice corporate job, and I was really unfulfilled in that job. So I woke up one day, and I literally cried. I bawled crying at about 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, and I prayed to God, and I was like, if I'm doing such a good job, why am I so unfulfilled? What is it that you want me to do? Because if you tell me, I'll do it. Now, read my Bible. You tell people stuff sometimes. Tell me what it is you want me to do. And the Spirit was very clear to me, and He said, reach back. What you're doing, you'll never get fulfillment in, because this is not what I have planned for you. You're supposed to help people. So I quit my job and I started this nonprofit. I have not looked back. I have no regrets. I'm very blessed in this space. We are looking to provide several different services for our aged out children. My love, my passion is the aged out children, because they are a whole community of people who are unheard. I am not quiet. I am going to speak for them until they're comfortable enough to speak for themselves. We want to be able to place them, to be able to provide them with long-term living accommodations so that they can focus on continuing their education so they can be successful. We want to be able to provide transportation to families who are working on reunification so that they can get to their visitations, so that they can spend time with their children, so that we're not re-traumatizing these children by a parent just lacking transportation and that be the reason that they can't go to a visitation. That also leads to success. We want to be able to provide them with visitation services, because I don't know, well, actually, I'm talking to a room full of people that may know that sometimes you have to pay for visitation services. If a family is working on reunifying, why do they have to have all of these hurdles? We're only continuing to re-traumatize children that is supposed to be in a space of fostering. Okay, so that's what we're looking to do. This year, I actually got to, first of all, Jordan, thank you, because literally I met some of these ladies a year ago when I didn't even have a logo, I didn't have anything for my nonprofit. I was just like, I want to do this. I found Fostering Hope on a Google search, reached out to Jordan, and she was like, well, come on, I'll talk to you about some stuff. And I'm like, I don't even know what stuff I need to talk to you about, but I'll come. But this year, they actually allowed us to hold our gala at their facility, and we were able to raise roughly $7,000 so that we can get ready to start our transportation services for our families. So definitely a win there. And with that, there was a parent who was there, and she said, you know, we have some resources. What do you want to do for the kids for Christmas? Our aged out kids are aged out, and nobody is thinking about them because if out of sight, out of mind, right? And I said, well, actually, she asked me about the younger kiddos. I said, well, the younger kiddos have some programs, things like that. I said, if you want to do something, we really need some assistance with getting our aged out kiddos, even if it's something small, a gift card, something to say, we're thinking about you and we love you. You're gone out of sight, but you're not out of mind. We love you. So we had a meeting, and I was able to gift about 5 aged out kiddos gift cards and things like that for Christmas. It was nothing big, but it didn't have to be huge to be impactful. So, yeah, that's me. I thank you all. I'm blessed to even be in this space, and that's it. That's me.
So we have time for one question from the crowd. I would go longer, but I have childcare workers who would be coming for my head if we kept going and on and on. But I do want to pose, does somebody have one question for one of our panelists? And then we're going to wrap up. Here.
Bring yours.
Oh, there's.
Here you go. I must admit, I think the question is for Jordan, but because you've experienced and worked with Jordan, I'm going to ask you and how it worked for you. How do you start up a nonprofit unless you've had the support, not just from her, but you've had 2 children? How do you do that when you have children, already have responsibilities, already have bills, and start from nothing?
Oh, okay. I was going to say, they're ready to boot us out. They turned my mic off. That's actually a fair question. I actually have 4 kiddos. I had my first kiddo when I was 16, and by the time I was 22, I had 4 of them. So for me, it was not easy. I just could not look back and do anything other than that. God was like, no, you're going to do this. If I tried to do something else, he's like, this way. I started out very humbly. I paid for my own everything to start out with. And when I reached out, I believe that if this is what God has intended for you to do, and your heart is in the right place, then the right people come along. I was blessed in that Jordan was willing to reach out, because she worked for an established organization already, but willing to say, hey, come on in, and I'll show you some things. I'll share whatever knowledge I have with you. I think that being a part of your community as a whole helps, because when you call those people, they already know what you're going through, because a lot of the times they've been there. So for me, I started with a company called Swift Filings to file my business stuff. I didn't know anything about anything. They told me it was like $500 and they would do it all, and I said, you can have the $500 to do it all. But it was not an investment in myself. It wasn't anything short term. I was investing in the future of these kids that I knew we would be able to help with that. So for me, started with that very small investment. Reached out. They weren't the only people that I called. I called a bunch of people, and I either didn't get calls back, or people were like, well, try to reach out to our so-and-so department. And I'm like, but I just need a person. I'm trying to help. So I would say be persistent, make a small investment in yourself, and stay in tune with your community.
Outstanding. Thank you. Wow. Hasn't this been fantastic? Been a good day? This has been awesome. And I gave Beverly the heads up that she was going to get the last word. I promised her the last word, but I wanted you to leave with some encouragement from Beverly. But before I do, I just wanted to say on behalf of our organization, our board of directors, on behalf of our extended Fostering Hope family, just want to say what an honor it's been today to be in the room with you. Thank you for investing in your day, your time, your money to come and explore the 5 needs of foster care. Know that you are not alone. I hope you've heard that over and over today. Don't do this by yourself. If my wife and I could start over again, we would have worked on building that community first before we became foster parents. We had to learn the hard way. But especially those of you who are exploring right now, we want to urge you and encourage you to build that team as you enter into this space. You know, when we first started, I asked you, what was your intention? What was your intention for the day? And before this day is over, I hope that you'll go back to that question, maybe review what you wrote down. And don't let this just sit. Do something with what you've experienced today. Maybe you're walking away and you're thinking, you know what? Man, my role is just to find a way to support. That is so crucial. I can't tell you how important that is. Some of you are thinking, man, that urge to adopt, it's still there. Do something with that. Have a conversation. Have a follow-up conversation. Let us help you on your journey. And so really do something with that intention. But we've enjoyed having you today. We will have more information about a Future in a Hope 2025. That's going to be coming soon. And so please be on the lookout of that. It's going to be even bigger than this one, and we're really excited about this. So before we go, I'm going to give Beverly the final word, and then really quickly, we have some giveaways. And so if you turned in your little sheet to the basket, we've got some giveaways, and we'll do that, and then we'll be dismissed. So Beverly, what would you like to share as we wrap up today?
Oh, I want to give a shout out to Jordan first. I remember I met Jordan at a DFPS meeting, and I was very disgruntled. And that's when our friendship started, like 8 years ago in that meeting. And I just want to say thank you for still continue to be in my life. But what I want to do is I want to read a little scripture, if it's okay. And it's James 2, and it's starting at verse 14. What good is it, my brothers and sisters, if someone claims to have faith but has no deeds? Can such faith save them? Suppose a brother or sister is without clothes and daily food. If one of you says to them, go in peace, keep warm and well fed, but does nothing about their physical needs, what good is it? In the same way, by faith itself, it is not good, accompanied by action, is dead. So, that's what I keep thinking about when these grandparents are coming to me and they're saying that they have a need. And the need is, these are short-term needs. These are not needs that are going to go on for like a year. They may, I just want to try to support them if it's 3 months because you lose your job. I'll be honest, I lost my job last year in January. I still haven't found another job. But the main thing I can really say that God is my provision. He has taken care of me. He has provided for me and these kids. And that's why I try to instill in the grandparents that God is our provision. And I know sometimes when you don't know where your next meal is coming from, you don't want to hear somebody say, God is my provision. But I still want to instill that in the grandparents, and I try to instill that. Take your grandchildren to church because they have a lot of trauma. They need Jesus in their lives, and when they don't know what else to do, they can call on him. So that's just a couple of things that I talk to the grandparents about, and I try to encourage them. But the main thing is we got to have faith, and we got to trust God for our provision. Even though I go out and I'm knocking around trying to get, things for you all, sometimes it doesn't work out. Sometimes I go in my own pocket and I don't have much myself. But God always makes a way. And so I want to say thank you, Lord, for always taking care of me and teaching me how to take care of these grandparents.
Thank you, Beverly. Well said. Let's give our panel a hand. Thank you so much. So, Jordan, would you mind coming up? This is going to conclude our conference. We do have some giveaways. We've got a bag with a mystery gift inside. And so we're going to draw names for that. And I would just encourage you, if you have kids that have been in our child care today, please make sure that you give our children's workers a high five. They invested their day to come and serve your kids, and hope they had a fun time. So, Jordan, who's our winners? We have, I think, 4. 2, 3, 4. Yeah, we have 4. Yep.
Hello. So sorry. Are they missed, or do we have the giveaways somewhere? I did want to run through them. And then are they written in there?
Bags, yeah.
Great. Okay, so our first winner is Angel Figueroa. Angel! Piper picked these for me. Okay, so I didn't pick them. Jeanette. I am gonna butcher this last name.
You're welcome.
Janet.
Last.
Guden. Gudenhoff.
Yeah.
Okay, yay! Tanya Robertson. Yay! And Annika, yes, Annika? You still here? Okay, great. And I think some of their giveaways are being put on screen, but they're in your bags. I think.
You're welcome.
Oh, Annika Gustin? Oh, there you go.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
There were 5 bags.
Oh, then we had an
Piper,
extra.
give me another one. All right. Cindy Wendling. Where's Cindy?
All right.
Yay!
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here. Let me invite you to stand, and we'll close us out. I'm going to say a prayer as we leave this place. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Father, thank you so much for our time. Thank you, Lord, that we've had this space and opportunity to gather. Lord, would you bring just discernment and wisdom in our decisions and the ways that we're exploring to make a difference in the 5 needs of foster care. Thank you for our partners. Thank you for our churches. Lord, the other organizations that are in the fight to ensure that there is a healing home and healing family for every child. Lord, we love you. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you for coming.